Hi everyone, this is Joy for Honeybee Stamps. Today I've made for you 3 cards, and on these cards I've done all die cuts and no coloring, and they turned out fabulous. I'm starting with the Tropical Bouquets die set. I've used pretty much every flower and leaf on here. I've also used just one of the vases, that rounder one. I did all of my die cutting ahead of time off camera to save a ton of time because I created a ton of flowers and leaves. Now I do like to create a little extra, and you can always save those with your die set. Now I have a stylus tool and a foam pad. Well, it's kind of more like a sponge, and I am just taking my first flower. This is a really bright pink cardstock, and I'm just rubbing my stylus tool onto the petals of this flower. This is going to break down the fibers of your cardstock and just give some dimension to these flowers. So as you can see, it's kind of curling up the edges there. And I'm going to take that stylus tool and now just slightly bend back the edges of the petals. And so now we've got some dimension where the flowers were flat before. I'm just using the same technique for the little stamens on the inside. I'm going to come in with a little bit of liquid glue and adhere that. And I used a lighter pink for the inside. Now there's 2 of these flowers. These are like hibiscus flowers is what they look like to me. So I did the larger one and the smaller one. There is a larger and smaller stamen that goes inside. And then I'm coming back in with a yellow, well, maybe this is the stamen. I don't know what this piece is called, but you know what I'm talking about on the hibiscus flowers. But I die cut that from yellow. I'm just giving a little curve to it, adding a little bit of liquid glue to the center of the flower, and then just adhering that down. I also have some yellow ones that I'm going to glue off camera. Now I've got these other flowers. I have no idea what these are called, but there's 2 layers. You have your solid back piece and then your top piece that's a little more open. So I'm going with a lighter pink for the back. That front part that is white, I just took my stylus tool to the center of the flower to give it a little bit of a curvature to that flower. Added a little bit of liquid glue to the center, glued the white piece down, and now I'm gluing down the little pink piece that goes right in the center. I cut the back and the front little piece from the same color of pink. I am not gluing down the actual petals to the white flower. Again, there's 2 sizes, a large and a small. And once that's done, I'm also going to glue some orange flowers with this as well. I wanted to show you how that looked. Doing the same thing, those little center pieces, there's a larger and a smaller one, which is really fabulous. Each flower has all its own little pieces. So I don't know what this is called, but I think it is so pretty. I die cut the green stem part, obviously from green cardstock, and I die cut the flower pieces from an orange cardstock, the same orange that I just used on the other flowers. And I'm going to glue these pieces down together. I just have it laid out here so you can see where they go. And then you have those fun little green parts of the flower still sticking out of the orange part of the flower. I'm going to make 3 of these, and I'm just going to kind of bend the edges just a little bit when I'm done gluing where the orange flower is, just to give it a little bit of dimension. Now that all of my leaves and everything are done, I am coming in with the Quilted A2 cover plate. I've die cut that 3 times. Then I'm using the Scallop A2 card frames. I think I'm using the second smallest one. I'm going to run this through my die cut machine, and I want to keep both pieces. I'm going to do this for all 3 cards. All of that is going to be the same. For the most part, the card design is going to be the same. I'm going to switch up some colors, the color of the vases, and how I arrange the flowers. So now that that's die cut, I'm going to take this out, and we've got 2 pieces here. We're going to actually do some ink blending on that frame, and then the centerpiece I'm going to leave white. But that is going to give us some fun interest on our card. So now I'm going to start with some ink blending. I'm using some squeezed lemonade. This is actually going to be on the bottom part of the frame. I'm going to go really heavy on the bottom part, really kind of an ombre effect, and go lighter as I get to the top. And really about the top quarter, top third of it is going to be white. I'm going to do this for all 3 of my backgrounds. So this one is the squeezed lemonade. Now I'm coming in with the Kitsch Flamingo. I think that's how you say that. Again, being super heavy at the bottom and then inking up lightly more towards the top. And I'm cleaning my work surface in between each color so I don't get a cross of coloring. I am using peacock feathers for this last one, which this is one of my most favorite colors and is so pretty. So again, heavy at the bottom, lighter towards the top. I have a white A2 size card base. I'm going to do this the same for all 3 cards. I'm using a little bit of adhesive and I'm going to glue the frame down directly to the card panel. Now that center piece that we die cut out, I'm going to use foam tape behind that. And so this piece, we will have the continued look of the quilted A2 cover plate, but this center piece is going to be popped up. So it really adds a lot of interest to the card. And being that the back is colored and the front is not, is pretty fun. So now you can see the little vase there. I die cut 3 of these vases and I used the Beach Vibes 6x6 paper pad and I did 3 different colors of vases. And I am just tucking in my flowers, gluing them down with liquid glue. A couple of them have some foam tape. A couple of the leaves have some foam tape, not the flowers. And I'm just going to adhere each one. I kind of did a quick laying out so I had an idea of how I want it to look. I did add foam tape behind the vase itself, that way I could tuck in all of these flowers. Otherwise that thin paper, patterned paper is fairly thin. It would look really lumpy if I didn't add some foam tape behind it, and so that way I could tuck in all of the stems. I'm just kind of fitting in what I like. I die cut these leaves from 3 different colors of green cardstock. If you did not want to use colored cardstock for this, you really could just use some ink up some white cardstock in different colors, and then die cut out your leaves and your flowers that way. I kept it simple by just using colored cardstock, using 3 different colors of green for the leaves. Of course, we've got the yellow and the pink and the orange for the flowers. So this is the last one and I'm just tucking it in, and that big palm on the left is my favorite. I actually have a plant in my living room that looks just like that, and it's like the biggest plant I've ever seen in my life, but it is so much fun. So I'm going to finish tucking those in and around, gluing in the flowers, and this really just takes up that whole background and is so beautiful. Once I'm done with that, I am going to use this birthday die and I'm going to just cut out just the scripty part. I'm not going to use the shadow background parts of this, but it is in 4 pieces. Once you die cut it, it comes apart in 4 pieces. And I'm just going to use some liquid glue and adhere that to the bottom part of the vases on the cards. And as you can see, the first part of the word birthday kind of hangs off, and then the last part is going to hang off. You could add a really thin piece of foam tape behind those 2 edges that hang off of the vase. I'm not worried about this because this is not a card that I would necessarily put in an envelope to mail to someone. This would be kind of like a hand-delivered card, but if you needed to do that, you absolutely could. And I'm going to do this for all 3 cards. Now there is the dot to the eye. I'm going to add a little bit of liquid glue, and my black dot is still in my cardstock, and I'm just going to line that up, push it through into the glue that I've already laid down on the background of this card, and then that little dot to the eye just sticks down perfectly. That way you don't lose those little pieces, because I am forever losing the dots to my eyes. Now in my MISTI, I have a piece of black cardstock, and I am going to stamp the word hugs from the Adore stamp set, because this is going to say birthday hugs. I'm prepping my cardstock with an anti-static powder tool, coming in with VersaMark clear ink, white embossing powder, and I'm going to do that 3 times, heat that till it's melted, and then I'm going to trim those out. Now that that's done, I've added some foam tape behind that, and I'm just adhering that at the bottom underneath the word birthday, but it's still on the vase at the bottom. And I'm going to do that for all 3 cards, and look at how this is coming together. Aren't these just so beautiful, so easy, and so much fun? Once that is done, I'm going to add some small clear dewdrops to each one of my cards. I'm just using the liquid glue. I lay those out for the most part ahead of time, kind of get an idea of where I want them. I'm putting some on the flowers, some on the background. I'm keeping it all above the bottom. I don't want anything below the word birthday or hugs. That's just how I had it in my mind for this design. I'm going to finish up these last 2 cards, and these cards are complete. Really, die cutting all of those flowers and leaves is really kind of relaxing. If you just sit in front of your TV and just die cut those out, you can have a ton of product to add to a ton of cards. Now, this is all done and complete. We've got this first card here, this pink card. And isn't that so pretty? And I love that each one of the flower arrangements looks different. And you've got the inked background that looks different, but really the whole design is the same. And these turned out so gorgeous. And by adding dimension to the flowers adds dimension and interest to your cards. So that's the very last one, and they turned out great. Thank you guys so very much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this project, and I'll be back soon. Bye.